Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, please email me. My email is still tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's still in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. In 1998, Bulgari pushed the limits of materials in watchmaking by introducing its aluminum sports watch. In 2020, it brought it back. And for 2023, we got this 1,000-piece limited edition Bulgari Aluminum Chronograph Capri limited edition. So 1,000 pieces for 2023 based on the imagery of the island of Capri, which sits off of Italy in the Bay of Naples. So the watch, 40 millimeters in diameter, is relatively thin at only 11.4 millimeters thick, and from hinge lug to hinge lug, the total distance across the wrist, 48.3 millimeters, being made mostly of rubber, sapphire, and aluminum. It is a very, very light watch. And you can see how there is a multi-degree articulated bracelet on each side. So it's a bracelet strap hybrid, and it wears beautifully. Absolutely no challenge to wear this on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist. I think you could actually wear this even on a lady's wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. And although it's a sort of modular complication, more on that in a moment, you can see it is so flat that it will slide under a cuff. Take one last look down the barrel and one last look over the top. Excellent fit and very light, very comfortable. Bulgari uses a system similar to Ulysse Nardin's Marines, where you have metal inserts inside a rubber sleeve to create a strap that's roughly 40% bracelet. And those degrees of articulation, we've got 1, 2, 3 before we reach the natural elasticity of the strap. It's integrated into the case, and it matches the flare of the lug profile. It also thins out as you move away from the wrist. Factory strap, brand new, no crimping, no gouging. We have the same treatment on the other side. We have a lovely and very coarsely media blasted aluminum pin buckle that looks fantastic. And just word to the wise, despite the Romanesque spelling, it is pronounced Bulgari. You'd be amazed at how many people I encounter who ask me about Bvlgari. It's stylized to disguise the decidedly non-Italian origins of the founder of the brand, who I believe was Greek. Now we have DLC-coded chronograph pushers and crown. Note the use of an unbranded crown and profile. And we have a very rustic finish on the case flank, with the exception of satination on the caps of the hinges. The bezel is rubberized, and the recurring Bulgari-Bvlgari motif, a nod to Gerald Genta's contribution to Bulgari design language over the years. Note how the lugs rise above the base of the bezel. They actually ride up on each side, a little design element that creates a visually thinner impression, and artful details like that create elegance in something that is otherwise a fairly no-holds-barred sports watch. It is 100 meters, water-resistant, automatic winding, and as you can see, has a respectable amount of luminescence. On the dial, we have the imagery of water off of Capri. And on the reverse side, the Sole Ferraglione, the rock formations that exist off of Capri. And Capri, of course, a play place for the rich, famous, and beautiful, 100 meters water-resistant, and while Italian-inspired, made in Switzerland. And that is the case with Bulgari watches. So Capri is a beautiful place, and so you have this nautical imagery on a dial with a lovely frosted finish and texture, and then highlights of yellow sun. You can also see that, as with the grottos that dot the area, we have the light at the top fading away as we delve deeper into the recesses of those grottos. We also have sunken subregisters in a darker blue, and we have a couple of setting modes. One is hacking or stop seconds. That brings everything to a halt so you can synchronize to a reference time. And then we also have a intermediate crown position, which is easier for me to do off camera. And you can see how I can now rapidly set the date. So inside, we have what they call a B130, which is a ETA 28942. And there's a debate over whether this is a modular chronograph, and in truth it is. It's more of a sandwich than a stack, which is to say that instead of just putting a module on top of a driving base, the way, say, Audemars Piguet Long did with the Royal Oak Offshore, the 2894 is built more like Richard Hobring's IWC Doppel Chrono, where he took a 7750, removed the calendar module and the motion works, and removed the automatic winding system and the powertrain, and then he put a split-second chronograph mechanism in the middle. Well, this works sort of like that. With the chronograph mechanism, which is impressively both a vertical clutch and a column wheel, it sits underneath the upper plate that contains the mounting for the calendar quickset in the hands, and then it actually sits a little bit above the winding system and the power source on the back. So it does use a vertical clutch, which means this vertical clutch system has no play, no jumping, no staggering, no imprecision when you start the chrono. And while it has a relatively rustic-looking chronograph column wheel, it is nevertheless a column wheel, which makes for nice crisp actuation. It's a bidirectional automatic winder with 40 to 42 hours of power reserve, a 4 hertz beat rate, and it is very tough. It can be made to run very accurately, and it's a credit to this watch that it has that mechanism. But it is modular, which is why you'll see that the crown and the chronograph pushers aren't perfectly in line with each other. So I am firmly on the side of this being a modular chronograph caliber, albeit an unconventional one, in that the meat of the chronograph is in between the bread of the dial side and the winding system and the power source. If you love this watch, reach out to me. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.